Hello students, hope you all are doing fine. Dear students, in this part of the audio, I am going to discuss with you from your textbook in Political Science for class 12th. Politics in India since independence. Chapter 1, Challenges of Nation Building. Chapter 1, Challenges of Nation Building. In this part of the audio, I am going to give you a small introduction of the chapter and then main points to remember. So let's move to the introduction. Listen to this very carefully. At the midnight on 14 and 15 August 1947, India attained independence. The first few years of independence were full of challenges. For example, freedom came with partition, which resulted in large-scale violence and displacement and challenged the very idea of a secular India. The chapter contains the story of Indian politics since independence by looking at different kinds of challenges of nation building, which were negotiated successfully in the early phase after 1947. And now following are the main points to remember. Please listen to this very carefully. Number 1. India attained independence on 15th August 1947. 2. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of Free India, addressed a special session of the Constituent Assembly that night. That was the midnight on 14th and 15th August. This speech is known as Tryst with Destiny. Number 3. Independent India faced many challenges. Main challenge was nation building. 4. Partition. In this, displacement and rehabilitation. 5. Refugee problem, that is, resettlement of refugees. 6. Kashmir problem. 7. Problem of integration of princely states. 8. There were 565 states in all. 9. The interim government took a firm stand on the integration of princely states. 10. Before 15th August 1947, almost all states joined the Indian Union. 11. Accession of the princely states of Junagadh, Hyderabad, Kashmir and Manipur proved more difficult than other states. 12. In this we study the story of Hyderabad. It was the largest princely state. Nizam, that was the ruler of Hyderabad, he was a very rich person. Army was used to control the Nizam's forces. Number 13, it was about Manipur. The Maharaja of Manipur signed the instrument of accession on the assurance that the internal autonomy of Manipur would be maintained. 14th, reorganization of states. Big challenge was to draw the internal boundaries of the Indian states. The states were reorganized on linguistic principles. 15. Demand for separate Andhra Pradesh on Telugu basis was made. 16. Potti Sriramulu, a Congress leader and a veteran Gandhian, went on an indefinite fast and died after 56 days fast. 17. Separate Andhra state was formed in December 1952. 18. States Reorganization Act was passed in 1956. 14 states and 6 union territories were created. 19. The state of Maharashtra and Gujarat were created in 1960. And 20. In 1966, reorganization of Punjab took place. 3 states, that is Punjab, Haryana and Himachal Pradesh, were formed. Hello students, welcome back. In the previous audio, we started with our chapter 1, Challenges of Nation Building. And in that part of the audio, I gave you the introduction of the story, the chapter, and the main points to remember. And in this part of the audio, we shall discuss the first 2 topics of the chapter. The topic number 1 is Challenges for the New Nation. And you all are expected to listen to this very carefully. The first speech of the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, at the hour of midnight on 14th and 15th August 1947 was known as famous Tryst with Destiny speech while addressing a special session of the Constituent Assembly. This was the moment all Indians had been waiting for. But this was not going to be easy. India was born in a very difficult circumstances. Perhaps no other country by then was born in a situation more difficult than that of India in 1947. Freedom came with partition of the country, which made people homeless. Now there were 3 main challenges that the independent India had to face. So immediately after independence, there were many challenges in independent India that needed a solution, and the main challenges were 3 actually. Listen to this very carefully. Number 1, challenge to shape the nation as a united country. Number 2, to develop democratic practices, and number 3, to ensure development and well-being by evolving effective policies for economic development and eradication of poverty and unemployment. And the topic number 2 is partition. In this we shall discuss displacement and rehabilitation. According to the 2 nations theory advanced by the Muslim League, India consisted of not one but 2 people, Hindus and Muslims. That is why it demanded Pakistan, a separate country for the Muslims. The Congress opposed this theory and the demand for Pakistan. Several political developments in 1940s, the political competition between the Congress and the Muslim League and the British role led to the decision for the creation of Pakistan. Finally, on 15 August 1947, 2 nation states came into existence, India and Pakistan. Now, the process of partition. The idea might appear simple, but it presented all kinds of difficulties. First of all, there was no single belt of Muslim majority areas in British India. There were 2 areas of concentration, one in the west and one in the east. There was no way these 2 parts could be joined. Secondly, not all Muslim majority areas wanted to be in Pakistan. The third problem was that 2 of the Muslim majority provinces of British India, Punjab and Bengal, had very large areas where non-Muslims were in majority. The fourth problem was the problem of minorities on both sides of the border. Now, the consequences of partition. The year 1947 was the year of one of the largest, most abrupt, unplanned and tragic transfer of population that human history has ever known. The partition of 1947 was most abrupt and unplanned, which created and spread communal riots, dividing country into various community zones, social sufferings to shelter in a refugee camps, killing of women and separation of family members, except it divided financial assets, employees, and created conflicts between Hindus and Muslims. And now let us discuss the story of Mahatma Gandhi's sacrifice that is mentioned on page 12. Gandhiji was saddened by the communal violence and disheartened that the principles of ahimsa, and satyagraha that he had lived and worked for had failed to bind the people in times of trouble. Gandhi went on to persuade the Hindus and Muslims to give up violence. His presence in Kolkata greatly improved the situation, and the coming of independence was celebrated in a spirit of communal harmony with joyous dancing in the streets. Gandhi's prayer meetings attracted large crowds, but this was short-lived as riots between Hindus and Muslims erupted once again, and Gandhiji had to resort to a fast to bring peace. Next month, Gandhiji moved to Delhi, where large-scale violence had erupted. He was deeply concerned about ensuring that Muslims should be allowed to stay in India with dignity as equal citizens. He was also concerned about the relations between India and Pakistan. He was unhappy with what he saw as the Indian government decision not to honor its financial commitments to Pakistan. With all this in mind, he undertook what turned out to be his last fast in January 1948. As in Kolkata, his fast had a dramatic effect in Delhi. Communal tension and violence reduced. Muslims of Delhi and surrounding areas could safely return to their homes. The government of India agreed to give Pakistan its dues. Gandhiji's actions were, however, not liked by all. Extremists in both the communities blamed him for their conditions. He was particularly disliked by those who wanted Hindus to take revenge or who wanted India to become a country for the Hindus, just as Pakistan was for Muslims. They accused Gandhiji of acting in the interest of the Muslims and Pakistan. Gandhiji thought that these people were misguided. He was convinced that any attempt to make India into a country only for the Hindus would destroy India. His steadfast pursuit of Hindu-Muslim unity provoked Hindu extremists so much that they made several attempts to assassinate Gandhiji. Despite this, he refused to accept armed protection and continued to meet everyone during his prayer meetings. Finally, on 30th January 1948, one such extremist, Nathuram Godse, walked up to Gandhiji during his evening prayer in Delhi and fired 3 bullets at him, killing him instantly. Thus ended a lifelong struggle for truth and non-violence and justice and tolerance. Gandhiji's death had an almost magical effect on the communal situation in the country. Partition-related anger and violence suddenly subsided. And after this, most of the national movement leaders believed that India must treat persons of all religions equally and that India should not be a country that gives status to adherents of one faith and inferior to those who practiced another religion. And then the next page, the page number 14, and it says, therefore, they cherished the ideal of a secular nation. This ideal was enshrined in the Constitution of India. And I hope that you have understood this part. Dear students, in the previous audio, we discussed the first two topics of the chapter, Challenges of Nation Building. And those topics were Challenges for the New Nation and Partition. In that we discussed Displacement and Rehabilitation. And next two topics we shall discuss in this part of the audio. And once again, you are expected to listen to this very, very carefully. Number third, integration of princely states. British India was divided into the British Indian provinces and the princely states. The British Indian provinces were directly under the control of the British government. Princely states covered 1/3 of the land area of the British Indian Empire, and 1 out of 4 Indians lived under princely rule. And now the problem. Just before independence, the British announced that with the end of their rule over India, paramountcy of the British Crown over princely states would also lapse. First of all, the ruler of Travancore announced that the state had decided on independence. The Nizam of Hyderabad made a similar announcement the very next day. Rulers like the Nawab of Bhopal were averse to joining the Constituent Assembly. Now the government's approach. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was India's Deputy Prime Minister and the Home Minister during the crucial period immediately after independence. He played a historic role in negotiating with the rulers of princely states firmly but diplomatically and bringing most of them into the Indian Union. The government's approach was based on 3 considerations, that is, will of integration of people of princely states, a flexible approach to accommodate plurality and demands of region that concerned about integrity of India with peaceful negotiations. Only 4 states accession was difficult, that is, Junagadh, Hyderabad, Kashmir and Manipur. Hyderabad was the largest princely state under the rule of Nizam, who was not argued to be integrated. But the society protested against the rule of Nizam. The central government had to interfere against Razakars, and in September 1948, Nizam's forces were controlled with the accession of Hyderabad. Now the short story of Manipur. Bodha Chandra Singh, Maharaja of Manipur, made it a constitutional monarchy and became first state to hold elections under universal adult franchise. But on sharp differences over merger of Manipur, the government of India pressurized Maharaja into signing an agreement in September 1949. Now let's move to the last topic, that is reorganization of states. The process of nation building did not come to an end with partition and integration of princely states. Now the challenge was to draw the internal boundaries of the Indian states. During colonial rule, the state boundaries were drawn either on administrative convenience or simply coincided with the territories annexed by the British government or the territories ruled by the princely powers. Indian national movement had rejected these divisions as artificial and had promised the linguistic principle as the basis of formation of states. Hence, linguistic states were formed to change the nature of democratic policies which accepted the regional and linguistic claims and provided a uniform base to the plural nature of democracy. The State Reorganization Commission was formed in 1953 by the central government to redraw the boundaries of states. The commission accepted that boundaries of the state should reflect the boundaries of different languages. On the basis of its reports, the States Reorganization Act was passed in 1956. This led to creation of 14 states and 6 union territories by giving uniform basis to state boundaries. And now this is the end of the chapter, and now you all are requested to go through the chapter thoroughly and